Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the front line with Joe and Joe. Joe Pasillo and Joe Resinello. And once more, dear friends, let us go into the brief. So we're pleased to be joined by Sal Piarulli. Sal's a West Orange resident. Sal's been fighting the fight against iconoclasm. Sal, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in West Orange, right?
I'm out, actually. I did move out many years ago, and right now I am actually glad I moved out. And with everything going on and everything that just happened, right now I'm happy to say I'm a former West Orange resident. For the
Okay.
first time ever, I am happy to say I'm a former resident, because up till now I was a proud West Orange resident, and I was proud to say I grew up there, and I am still proud to say I grew up there, but now I'm not proud to say I'm from there because of everything that just happened there.
All right, we're going to get into that. Just to refresh everybody's memory, about 3 weeks ago, I did a video impromptu. I did not plan it in front of St. Francis Xavier Church on Bloomfield Avenue in Newark. The video itself got over 250,000 views. And we got some calls from that, Joe and I. So we did an interview with Buddy Fortunato at the Italian Tribune, kind of set the record straight. So both of those videos are available at the front line with Joe and Joe on Facebook. And if you go on there, please follow our page. But then I was introduced to Sal because Sal's in an interesting situation where on the one hand, you have the city of Newark, and then you got the New York, and you got Columbus, Ohio, and you got places all over the country. But in West Orange, New Jersey, I mean, it's the last place you would think that a statue of Columbus would be coming down, and Sal's intimately involved in that situation. So, Sal, I'm going to hand it over to you, and you could let us know exactly what happened there.
Yeah, so it was about a month ago. Some young people went in there and they started putting signs up all over the Columbus Monument. The Columbus Monument, just some quick background, about 30 years ago, was put there by the Dory family as a sign of unity for the town. So it was put there 30 years ago, a sign of unity, good faith within the town. They donated, they put it there because, as we know, Christopher Columbus was a great man, outstanding man who led the way to founding our country and the whole Italian background. And so the young people, they went in there, they put these signs up: Columbus is a murderer, blah, 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 all this, for lack of a better term, BS about Columbus. And the mayor, Robert Parisi, within hours said, okay, we're going to take the monument down, without any town discussion, without bringing it to the town, it was a unilateral decision. Came out and said that he had discussions within his cabinet, within the council, blah, 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 but it was not a discussion amongst the town. It was a discussion amongst his immediate council as a knee-jerk reaction. Now, we know what the culture is. We know that it came from the top down. We know that, you know what? Hey, we hate, this segment hates our history. They want to erase the history for a specific reason. So they want to start with Christopher Columbus, and they started with that monument. So they took it down a couple weeks later in the middle of the night without telling anybody. It was a cowardly move. There was a petition started by the young people. It had started a couple of days before I had actually started a petition. It started with like 600 people. So his reaction was, hey, you know, there's this petition there's around. It's got a few hundred people already on it. It's going to be in the thousands. So there's all these people that want it out. So I'm going to take it out. Well, the petition I started a few days later had doubled what they had started. He ignored it. And it was mostly West Orange residents, a lot of people who had lived there for years or still live there, had supported him in the past, and I can tell you don't support him anymore. And they're very upset with him. And because, again, it was a knee-jerk reaction. He went in the middle of the night, cowardly decision, had the monument removed with a towing company. And right now, it's with somebody nobody knows except for the person who has it and took the monument, where it is. And personally, I want to put back where it belongs. But until then, we can talk some more.
Sal, you know, iconoclasm, it begins with statues. Then it goes to free speech. We're seeing that. Clearly, we're not allowed to say certain things. We can't say in our corporate environments that the defunding of the police is something that is a bad thing. Immediately, you're labeled. There's so many things, even if you're for your support of Christopher Columbus, all three of us being Italian-American, instantly we're labeled as haters. What's next? Are they going to come for us in the middle of the night? I mean, this is the danger. I don't understand how Americans of goodwill, clearly too many people have drank the Kool-Aid and they're not thinking. What's next? This is America. The very thing that you just talked about, the mob coming without going to the town council, without referring to the people who voted for these people, just did something and it's tolerated. The police did nothing. The people in charge did nothing. I can't understand, nor do I recognize my own country anymore. And it's scary. And what scares me more is there's young people who don't see it. There are people who vote for these people who don't see it. What they don't realize is they're coming for you next. It could easily happen. It's happened in other societies. It's happened within the last 100 years. It happened in Mexico. It has happened, and why can't it happen here? Yet they're blind to it. That's what scares me the most.
And Joe, you're absolutely right. What we've seen is the young people, they've been indoctrinated. They actually believe it's true. They believe what they're being told about these historical figures is true. So they have this mob mentality. They're going in, they're saying, we want this done now, or we're going to destroy it. So the politicians are reacting because they want them taken down also, because they want to erase the history. They want to erase the history of the Democratic Party, of the racist Democratic Party that existed. They want to erase that. They want to make sure that what's growing up today does not know that history existed. So they're trying to erase that. Look what's happening, like you said, already across the country. It's what the reality is. This segment is throwing a hissy fit over an election. They're throwing a hissy fit. This did not happen for 8 years when the person that they wanted to be elected was elected. So they're still throwing a hissy fit because the person that they didn't want got elected. Mm-hmm. So now they're changing everything, and it's mob rule, mob mentality. If you don't do what we want, we're going to destroy everything. And if you don't like it, what are we going to do? We're going to go to your employers, and we're going to get you fired.
Right.
And this is what they do. They go on social media, and this is exactly what they do. They go on social media sites, and they say, if you disagree with them, they find you. They find where you work, and they go to your HR, and they'll screenshot stuff and tell them that you're a bad person, you're a racist, you're, like you said, Joe, you're racist, you're horrible, you're this, you're that, and try to make you lose your job, try to destroy your lives. This is what they do. It's mob mentality, it's mob rule, and where does it end? It should have ended in West Orange at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Mayor should have said, this is staying, this is who we are, and we're not supporting this. Hey, free speech, do what you got to do, get the signs off, this is public property, you said what you had to do. Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll bring it to the town. The majority of the town says, hey, let's replace it with something else. Then fine, but have that discussion. Don't have the knee-jerk reaction of taking it down because some young people were taught something that just is not true about an iconic figure in history.
What happened to the word no? When I grew up, there was the word. It was no. You know, my idea of America is this. Everyone has a voice. No one has a veto. Since when does the mob have a veto? Mm-hmm. And what people don't realize is this could change. In 20 years, we could be coming after you. Is this what you want? That's why we have a constitution. That's why we have to protect the Constitution. I, again, do not understand how people cannot see that. The short-sightedness of it. It's staggering to me.
Joe, you know what? I will tell you this, though. And I'm not joking around. I think about this all the time. I say, well, you know what? There's more of us in this country. I'm not talking about parties, okay, Sal or Joe. I'm not talking about political parties. There's more people with common sense in this country that see this for the danger there is. I've only come to the conclusion, you know why people don't fight back? Because the left doesn't work and we work. I can't take off from work to go and protest. I can't. In other words, I happen to be driving by St. Francis Xavier Church, but I was off that day from work because we work. Because let me tell you something, if we were funded to the tune of $1.6 billion by people like George Soros, I'll tell you what, I think we could probably, where if I didn't have to worry about a job, I could probably muscle up or rustle up about 10,000 guys to go wherever Antifa is to combat them, to go and protest Robert Parisi, like our Italian teacher at Seton Hall Prep called Che disgraziad. Anthony Lupica called him disgraziad in his comment about Parisi, and he is. I'm sorry, he is disgraziad. It's disgraceful. But we work. It's one of the things that they know about us. They're getting funded by Soros and the rest, so they don't have to get up and go put food on the table. But we do, and that's one of the disadvantages that we have.
And just two great points to that. Someone posted a meme on Facebook. It said, how come all of a sudden Republicans want their kids to go back to school? And I just replied, because I have a job. I have to have them go back to school, number one. Number two, this culture has everybody walking around in masks now. We're all walking around hiding who we are. We're in masks. And yeah, we and you bring up Tony Lupica. He did. He put it up, and he's right. This mayor, this Scott's because he went down there and he took it down. He took down who our culture is without understanding and without talking to anybody. Now we have a reactionary society, and people who grew up, and we're not standing up for what we believe in. We're not standing up for anything. And it comes back to us. And you're right. It's not about parties. It's not about anything. Because now it started, and like you said, West Orange, New Jersey. And now where else has it happened? All over the place. It's happening in Scotch Plains too, and where they want to take it down to try to fight. It's happening all over. It's happening all over the country. In San Francisco, they threw it in the lake. Baltimore, they went in and they took it out. And where does it end? And where does it happen in 20 years? What's going to happen?
I will tell you this, and we're seeing it. Joe and I, not because we're so brilliant. Joe and I have been saying on our podcast now, going back 2 years, that it started with rumblings about the Confederate flag, and then it went to Robert E. Lee, and then it went to this, and then now it's Columbus. But Joe and I, and this answers your question, at least as far as what we could see, Sal. It ends at the cross, the ultimate icon that needs to be torn down by these people, because the left has always had their targets always squarely fixed on the back of the Catholic Church. Is the goal is the cross? What now? Again, we're not brilliant, but guess what happened over the last week? Churches have been burned. Statues of Jesus decapitated. Statues of Mary have been burned. In Boston, once an Irish Catholic stronghold, a statue of Mary gets burned in Boston. The goal is the cross, Sal. The goal is the cross. Everything else leads up to that, and we're seeing it now. Sean King said it flat out. He goes, got to tear down that statue of Jesus and Mary and their white friends. I mean, this is what we're dealing with now.
And but people don't realize is why Columbus, one of the reasons he came across the world was, it was spices, and it was to spread Christianity. People don't understand that. And the far left knows that. They want to erase that this country was built on Christianity. They try to, and they always go back to the Crusades without speaking about the truth about it, the truth about Christianity. They are trying to destroy Christianity. They're trying to destroy the church, the belief in what this country was built on, and that's where it is going. And we're seeing it rapidly come that way. And to go back to your point about the funding, where it's coming from, if you look deep into all of the, and I'll send you guys the link, where all these riots and the protests and the defunding, it all goes back to the Obama Foundation, the Clinton Foundation, the defund the police. That's where all of it comes down to. All of this stuff is organized. It's so well organized. And when a tragedy happens and all of a sudden there's 50 protests popping up at once, and everybody's wearing the same T-shirts, all of them have baseball bats and all of them have bricks, they're all well funded, and it's all happening at the same time because they're all funded from the same places.
Sal, I think one of the important things that we have to do is basically educate and inform people that what are you voting for? There's too many people that join these movements thinking that they're innocuous. People don't understand what they're voting for. You see, these are dangerous ideas, and we're beginning to see the fruit. And I say beginning. Read the 110 document. 110-page document, the joint committee between Sanders and Biden, some of the ideas that are floated in that. And too many people will say, oh, but I'm not for that. So why are you voting
for it? Exactly.
I hate Donald Trump. That's
not a reason.
Enough example, a reason why you're going to vote for Biden. His ideas are dangerous. The simple idea of defunding the police is a dangerous idea. Yep. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I'm going to be 50 next week. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and not for nothing, the problem is also the Republicans can't get it their own way either.
Absolutely.
A couple of guys out of Wisconsin that tried to get rid of Columbus Day because they fall for the same thing. They think it's going to get them votes at the end. They think it's going to get them votes, and they think it's going to get them elected. You know what? We got to get the damn politicians out of the way. Is what you got to get the politicians out of the way, and you got to get more people like you guys to educate everybody, to educate the voters and say, hey, these lifelong politicians who are just saying anything to get elected have to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Because we see it in New Jersey, it's the worst. And we're seeing it here. We see it here with the $1 billion we just borrowed here, where, our governor just said we're going to be raising taxes on top of the property taxes we were just pounded on. And it's just, like you said, it's education and putting it in front of people and taking away that letter next to the name. Take away the letter, take away Republican, take away Democrat, and just put down what the policy is that person stands for, and say to the person, okay, do you stand for this? Do you understand what that means? If so, then go ahead and vote for it. But if not, then don't vote for it. Forget about the name. Forget about the party. Realize what the hell you're voting for.
Right. You're absolutely right. So Joe says it all the time. We're too tribalistic in this country, and we're too idealistic in this country. In other words, everybody's different. Joe and I blast. Now, look, the left serves it up, Sal. So the bottom line is, obviously, the left is our primary target. But Joe and I take off the gloves with the right, too. You're Anthony Scaramucci's. You're Never Trumpers. You're George W. Bush leftovers. You're Bill Kristol's. We're tired of them, too. They've never been on our side. Like the Republicans that we're supposed to, we're supposed to vote for because, they have our back. No, they don't. No, they don't.
In the town I live in now, we had a Republican who was elected to council who said, we should always be raising taxes. No matter what, we should always be raising taxes. Now he didn't. Did I lose you?
No, we're here.
No, okay. So
I'm sorry, Sal.
And then now he's wondering why he lost in his primary, and he got primary for that reason. You have to have conviction. You have to stand for something. If you don't stand for something, you don't stand for anything. And people have to understand who that person is, and they have to understand what they stand for, and they got to see through the BS because they're being told anything. And sure. We're seeing it here. We're seeing it here in New Jersey, where we have over 15,000 people died of COVID because they were shoved into nursing homes because the freaking governor did not listen to the CDC. And now we're trying to look at Florida. Oh my God, the numbers are going up in Florida. Well, you know why they're not going up in New Jersey? Because the people died. People died in New Jersey. That's why the numbers aren't going up here. Died in New Jersey. So,
Sal, we're gonna leave it there. Okay. We're gonna put together for all you viewers out there. You can follow Joe and I at the Front Line with Joe and Joe on Facebook and YouTube. We're gonna have Sal back because obviously, Sal, we're three Italian guys with a lot to say, so we could go on for hours. Okay. But we're going to set the record. We're going to do an interview so everybody knows. And we're going to have on another gentleman who's written an extensive paper on Christopher Columbus. Number one, we're going to set the record straight on Columbus. And we're going to have a conversation at the Front Line with Joe and Joe. And we're going to talk with Sal about how we can potentially move forward and start a new movement in this country. If the Tea Party could do it, in other words, back in 2010, well, we as an authentically Christian movement, we could do it. And we could start, like Sal said, take the D and the R away from their name, okay, and look at what they stand for. And if they don't have our back, in other words, vote them out. Primary them, vote them out. And listen, this is not pie in the sky. We can do this. We absolutely could do this. So, Sal, I hope you don't mind. We're going to leave it there for today, okay? So we're going to get all that together, Sal. We'll be in touch, like I said, over the next few days, and we'll have another great conversation. It'll be a long one, we promise.
Great. Thank you, guys.
All right. Sal Piarulli, thanks again for joining us at the Front Line with Joe and Joe. Joe Pasillo, Joe Resinello. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube at the Front Line with Joe and Joe. And remember that our conversation is your conversation, and that conversation that's going on everywhere. We'll see you next time.